The history and culture of Brazil. 1. Introduction. Aerial views of Brazil's diverse landscapes, from the Amazon rainforest to its vibrant cities, accompanied by an introduction to its rich history and cultural heritage. 2. Indigenous peoples. Animation depicting the rich cultural heritage of Brazil's indigenous peoples, their diverse traditions, and their deep connection to the land. 3. Portuguese colonization. Dramatic reenactment of the arrival of Portuguese explorers in Brazil, the establishment of the first colonies, and the exploitation of natural resources. 4. Sugar plantations. Illustrations and maps showing the rise of sugar plantations in colonial Brazil and the introduction of African slavery to meet labor demands. 5. Gold rush. Visual timeline illustrating the Brazilian gold rush in the 18th century, with scenes of mining towns, gold prospectors, and colonial exploitation. 6. Independence. Footage and images of Brazil's independence from Portugal in 1822, with scenes of Emperor Pedro I declaring independence and the formation of the Brazilian Empire. 7. Abolition of slavery. Scenes depicting the abolition of slavery in Brazil in 1888, with images of emancipated slaves and the struggle for civil rights and equality. 8. Coffee boom. Montage showing the rise of the coffee industry in Brazil in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, with scenes of coffee plantations, labor migration, and economic growth. 9. Immigration. Footage of immigration waves to Brazil, including scenes of European, Japanese, and Middle Eastern immigrants arriving in Brazil and contributing to its cultural diversity. 10. First Republic. Visual timeline showing Brazil's transition to a republic in 1889 and the establishment of the first Brazilian republic, with scenes of political instability, military coups, and social reforms. 11. Getúlio Vargas era. Images and footage of the Getúlio Vargas era, including scenes of the Estado Novo dictatorship, industrialization, and populist reforms. 12. Military dictatorship. Footage and images of Brazil's military dictatorship from 1964 to 1985, with scenes of repression, censorship, and human rights abuses. 13. Democracy and social movements. Scenes depicting Brazil's return to democracy in the 1980s and the rise of social movements advocating for human rights, environmental protection, and land reform. 14. Amazon rainforest. Aerial views of the Amazon rainforest, showcasing its biodiversity, indigenous communities, and environmental conservation efforts. 15. Carnival. Footage of Rio de Janeiro's famous carnival celebrations, with scenes of samba parades, colorful costumes, and street parties. 16. Capoeira. Scenes of capoeira performances, a Brazilian martial art that combines elements of dance, acrobatics, and music, with origins in African slave culture. 17. Samba and music. Images and footage of Brazilian music genres such as samba, bossa nova, and MPB, Música Popular Brasileira, with scenes of musicians and live performances. 18. Soccer culture. Scenes depicting Brazil's passion for soccer, with images of stadiums, fans, and iconic players such as Pelé, Ronaldo, and Marta. 19. Pantanal wetlands. Images of the Pantanal wetlands, one of the world's largest tropical wetland areas, with scenes of wildlife, ecotourism, and conservation efforts. 20. Salvador da Bahia. Footage of Salvador da Bahia, Brazil's colonial capital and cultural hub, with scenes of historic architecture, Afro-Brazilian traditions, and vibrant street life. 21. Iguaçu Falls. Aerial views of Iguaçu Falls, one of the world's most spectacular natural wonders, located on the border between Brazil and Argentina. 22. São Paulo. Images of São Paulo, Brazil's largest city and financial center, with scenes of skyscrapers, cultural institutions, and diverse neighborhoods. 23. Brasilia. Footage of Brasilia, Brazil's modernist capital city designed by architect Oscar Niemeyer, with scenes of futuristic architecture and urban planning. 24. Bahia cuisine. Images of Bahia cuisine, with scenes of traditional dishes such as moqueca, fish stew, acarajé, deep-fried bean cakes, and feijoada, black bean stew. 25. Brazilian barbecue. Footage of Brazilian barbecue, churrasco, with scenes of grilled meats, skewers, and communal dining traditions. 26. Favela culture. Scenes depicting life in Brazil's favelas, including images of community resilience, cultural expression, and grassroots initiatives. 27. Indigenous rights. Images of indigenous communities in Brazil, with scenes of traditional ceremonies, land struggles, and cultural preservation efforts. 28. LGBTQ+ rights. Footage of LGBTQ+ pride events and activism in Brazil, with scenes of marches, protests, and celebrations of diversity and inclusion. 29. Afro-Brazilian culture. Scenes of Afro-Brazilian culture and traditions, including images of candomblé rituals, capoeira performances, and carnival celebrations. 30. Brazilian hospitality. Scenes depicting Brazilian hospitality customs, including warm greetings, shared meals, and celebrations with family and friends. These scenes aim to provide viewers with a comprehensive overview of Brazil's history, culture, and natural beauty, showcasing its diverse heritage, cultural traditions, and contemporary society.